All right, going to take a quick look today at today's setup. Just want to do this very quickly, so I don't. We're not going to take too much time on it, but let's talk about it for just a second, okay? Today we have an enhanced risk out actually for North Texas here. This includes the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. It includes Wichita Falls, goes all the way down to Waco, almost over to Abilene. This enhanced risk is actually for a couple of things. First off, it's for hail. We have a 30% hatched risk today for hail from Dallas over to Wichita Falls. Very giant hail is going to happen today, just giant hail. And then tornado risk, it's along and south of Dallas Fort Worth. Basically, it's the highest 10% hatch for possible strong tornadoes. If This actually has changed since the last outlook, it was a lot bigger. But in our blog on our website, you need to check our website every day during the spring. But we actually mentioned this, that the tornado risk was going to be higher from Dallas south. So there you go. So what's the culprit of today's setup? Well, it's this shortwave right out here in New Mexico. It's coming on out east. This shortwave, this little compact shortwave trough has really strong jet stream winds. It's going to increase the wind shear. 100% chance of storms today. This is not a will the storms go or will they won't. This is the storms are going to go. What do we expect type of day? And if you look here, I'm going to take a look at the red visible band really quickly. You can see already we got some development of clouds here ahead of that short wave. You can see the edge of the greatest moisture return. This is what I would call the warm front, is running across central North Texas right now. So everything's kind of taking shape. We're not quite there yet, but we're going to get there pretty quickly. Moving over to mesoanalysis. Again, here's that short wave. It's out here centered in southeast New Mexico right now. Let's take a look at the bulk shear effective, just so you can see we're already at 60 knots. I mean, that's just really, really impressive for this early in the day. I mean, we're getting there already, and not much else you need to look at this early in the day. Just I'm going through here really quick just to see if there's anything. Low level lapse rates are always good. Still pretty poor here in North Texas. These will improve through the day as the heating commences. So we've got a little bit, but looking forward to the atmosphere definitely becoming more unstable. Looking at the surface chart, temperatures in the 70s, dew points in the 60s, roughly south of Dallas-Fort Worth, where those clouds were. You can kind of match that up with the greatest moisture return. In fact, I can probably, we'll just turn on the dew point over here on Sasquatch, and you can see that as well. You can see a little bit of a surface warm front there with lots of clouds south of it. And so you can see 60, 65. We got mid 60s. That'll be pouring up in this area, possibly upper 60s, even low 70s, depending on how far south storms go. So, I mean, it's looking pretty reasonable today, pretty volatile, especially later in the day. We'll go through the environment here in a second. To take a look at the HREF, I think a couple of things I want to take a look at very quickly. The max reflectivity, you can see that storms, this has storms starting as soon as 19Z, which is 1, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock is 19Z, 3 o'clock 20Z has storms, and then certainly by 21 we've definitely got storms. So I think storms are going to form sometime, I think in that 1 to 3 p.m. range, but I think definitely no later than 3 are going to have some storms up at that point, and they only increase in aerial coverage through the day. You get to the point where you have a 90% probability of storms over a large area, including the enhanced risk. So yeah, it's just going to be a thing today. And if you take a look at the here at the probability of spinning storms, updraft helicity probabilities today, you can see the HREF kind of pegs a couple of areas by 6, 7 o'clock here in the enhanced risk area. And as you go through the evening, you still see some rotation evident on the HREF. I think this area to the south is the tornado-y one. I think if you're looking for tornadoes today, the southern one is going to be the one to take a look at. That one's going to be the one. I'll tell you why here in a second. Let's see. Something else I love about the HRF is the calibrated guidance. I think it's important that it really doesn't show much of a tornado threat until after 0Z, after 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock is where it really starts peaking, and into 3Z even. So I don't think the tornado threat's too high until you get to about 5, 6 o'clock today. And when you get to 5 and 6, that's when it starts turning. And that's when this environment becomes very favorable for a tornado if you have a brief tornado at the very least, but definitely favorable for tornadoes if you can keep isolated storm modes, which is entirely the question today. HRF also has dew points, 60 dew points nosing all the way up, no problem there. Almost 70s almost coming into the southern parts of the outlook region. So let's see, fixed layer STP. I love looking at this one too, especially the probability of 3 when we have the chance of strong tornadoes. And that's not very impressive. I mean, that's there. I could see certainly because there's going to be a little bit of a warm front draped over the area. If the storm can latch onto that and move southeast, I could certainly see those numbers being locally higher for a deviant rightward mover for sure. So just throwing that out there. So let's take a look at cams really quick. I'm at 6 minutes. So here we go. I'm trying to go get this done in under 10 minutes. We'll see if I can do it. We go up to 1920Z. So 2 to 3 o'clock, the HRRR starts developing storms here along the dry line. And then they really explode from 3 to 4. And then you have supercells by 5. And let's just take a look at this environment south of those supercells because I want to see what they're working with. At 5 o'clock, it's not very favorable for tornadoes. Your 0 to 1 SRH is 98. Your 3 Cape is 129. That's impressive. But you have these southwesterly surface winds. And on the plains, it's just not, it's not as favored. Even on these types of days where you have deviant rightward movers possibly, it's not very typical to have big tornadoes with southwesterly surface winds. It does happen, but it's rare. So at 5 o'clock, I would say this is marginally supportive of a tornado. But a couple of things I want to point out is look at this very small curve from 0 to 1, and look how long this photograph is from 0 to 6, and all this instability right here. That's all indicative of giant hail. Very big hail. I think you will see some baseball and even softball size hail reports today out of these supercells. And then as you go to 6 and then 7, you can see there's still some supercells indicated. Let's just take a look at that environment at 7 o'clock tonight. It's gotten a lot better. First off, if you're a storm photographer, you get an isolated supercell in this environment with this photograph, you're going to have these storms are going to look out of this world today. That's incredible. I'm regretting being in a cast right now. I'm coming out of my cast on Tuesday, and the pattern shuts down for like a week or two. That's amazing. Amazing troll by the weather. This is the first setup I legitimately would have 100% chased. Would be today, tomorrow, and Tuesday. And yeah, a lot better 0 to 1 SRH 321. 3 Cape is 76 still. Good instability still. This is a tornado environment, but definitely an incredible structure environment. Like big hail, incredible structure. Those two things are almost certain by 6 and 7. I think you're going to, these things are going to look out of this world. That's an incredible photograph. And then you see those updraft helicity streaks. These are kind of indicative of rotating storms when you look at the HRRR on the reflectivity plus UH greater than 75. Those kind of go away because this is growing upscale into a line. It just is. The line weakens after dark too. Your severe weather threat's going to probably peak here between 5, 6, 7, and probably 8. That's the greatest period of severe weather. I think the key today is going to be what these storm modes do, because I think initially you're going to have something like this. You're going to have storms up and down the dry line. Some are going to be supercells. And especially on the south end of everything, those are going to be supercells. What's going to be interesting, because I think here about 6 o'clock, these storms are going to be very close to Dallas, Fort Worth about this time. They're going to be producing giant hail, and they're probably going to be at or near their peak in strength. And that could be a pretty interesting, and I say interesting as in that could be bad interesting type of combination. But I think what happens south of those, south of that initial development, if you get a bunch of storms like this, you could get some storm interferences, and you're going to eventually end up with a line regardless. It's just like, how long can you keep a supercell mode like this going? If you can keep these mature, discrete, big time supercells with clean inflow going for a couple of hours after 7, 8 o'clock. If you can have one between probably 6 and 8, but more realistically 7, 8, 9 o'clock, that's tornado time. And I think you can get a pretty stout tornado out of these today. But it all depends on the storm mode, as it always does. This is not a no doubter type of tornado event. It definitely is a day that's dependent on a few things. Here, I'm going to look at the dew points really quick. I'm just curious to see what happens. Yeah, you get up there, you get some pockets of 70s here on the HRRR. I don't know if that will verify, but if it does, that's pretty rich for April. That's pretty solid moisture, to be sure. And here, let me go back over here, because I want to show you more than just the HRRR really quick. Let's take a look at the FV3. I don't like this model a lot, but let's show it anyways. And it shows those supercells forming early in the day. And then it shows actually a dominant supercell much further south. So that's something to watch. I think it's very possible the tornado threat could be well south of DFW today. Take a look at the ARW. And ARW shows, once again, storms. It shows a little bit later, between 3 and 4 o'clock, those storms going. And it shows some semblances of supercells. And down here, it shows a supercell. Let's see what its environment's doing. Certainly less favorable than the HRRR, to be sure. It's not very favorable. So the ARW doesn't look good. I would say the FV3 didn't look great. And I would also say that, the NSSL doesn't look great for tornadoes. I think for big hail, possibly even great structure, definitely. But everything but the HRRR doesn't look that good in terms of the cams. And I think that's why there's such a weak overall signal for tornadoes on the HRF because of that. That's what I'm guessing. So I mean, if I were chasing today, I would probably be targeting, I'm trying to zoom in here a little bit. Here's Dallas Fort Worth. I would try to be like west of DFW, probably west and south, probably Stephenville, something like that. And I'd be waiting to see that southern end. I think the southern end of storms is where the tornadoes happen today, if you can get a mature, discrete supercell. So we've got a couple of folks going out there today. I know Brett and Brandon are both going out, maybe even the other Brandon. So yeah, I mean, if something happens, we'll have pictures, we'll have videos all over the channel, all over social media. So yeah, stay tuned, and we'll see you later for sure.